Hello. Steve Green here from Make the Grade with my twice weekly live stream. And I want to welcome everyone. I'm actually starting 30 seconds early today, but that's okay. The goal here is very simple. I want to try to communicate some of the current trends that are happening in education. I typically title this presentation Structure in the Chaos, because this is the, believe it or not, 10th week and 17th presentation, actually 18th, today's the 18th presentation of this that I have done. And if you told me I would have been doing 18 of these a long time ago, I probably would have said, it can't be that big a deal. When originally school was interrupted, it was a 2-week thing. Became 3, became 4, became 6. And became now somewhat indefinite. So here's what I want to do. I want to do a combination of questions people are asking me, along with some notes I've taken, because there's a lot going on in the press right now that I just want to address. And I thought it was simpler and more direct to do it this way. If you have any questions at any point, please put them in the chat. There's a link, or should be a link here where you can click the StreamYard link. I'm using a live streaming software to do this, which is actually really convenient, but a little bit tougher. Anyway, let's get right into it. So here's the big question. Here is the big question right now. What's school going to look like in the fall? What's it going to look like in the fall? And I'm not going to tell you I have the answers, but I can tell you what people are talking about. Because what's starting to happen is a combination of a number of things. Okay. Number one is parents are getting tired, burnout of having to be parents, home workers, and essentially homeschool teachers at the same time. And it's challenging. It is challenging, particularly when you kind of didn't sign up for it. Now, I'm not saying anybody doesn't love their kids, doesn't want to work with their kids, doesn't want their kids to be successful any more than people want to be successful in their careers and their jobs. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a circumstance where one day your kid's going to school, elementary, middle, or high school, and the next day they're at home because you can't send them to school. And now you got a curriculum or some version of a curriculum you're trying to help teach. You've got schedules you're trying to put in place. You've got structure you're trying to put in place. I have talked extensively about the need for structure. In fact, 5 of them. 5 different kinds of structures. I refer you to several blog posts I've written, podcasts I've done, and prior editions of this. But just super quickly, there's a physical structure, a time structure, an academic structure, an accountability structure, and a support structure. And they all have to be in place, or it's going to be very difficult. There's an article in the New York Times, well-respected newspaper, entitled "Burnout on Homeschooling." Whole articles about how parents are just can only get so much out of a day. And again, it's not even people who are at home, who are stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home dads are having trouble coping with it. It's a testament to how difficult it is to be a teacher at times, but it's really a combination of all these other things I talked about before. So get back to the question. What's school going to look like in September? It's going to look the same. It's going to be different. It's going to be radically different. I'm going to use the word normal. So I think it's difficult. I'm projecting here, but all the stuff I'm looking at, and I don't think anybody wants to go out on a limb here from a political standpoint, but promise anything. But there's a lot of ideas being thrown out. So let's just say idea 1 is just go back to normal school. Kids go to school 7, whatever in the morning. They come home at 3 o'clock. And, you got going what you got going. The second scenario would be some sort of split shift, where maybe you kind of almost split the school into 2 phases. So maybe, for example, in a high school, 9th and 10th grade goes from 7 to noon, and 11th and 12th grade goes noon to 5. And the times are arbitrary. But the purpose of that would be to reduce the population of students and the density of kids in the school. Because let's face it, you get 800, 1,000, whatever students running around the hallways of the school. in between classes, that is definitely a social distancing or lack of social distancing nightmare. And nobody wants that. It's tough enough keeping people healthy. Forget what's going on right now. Any kind of sickness goes through a school, and a lot of kids get it because they're in such close proximity. And this, of course, also puts at risk the teachers and the administration and all that sort of stuff. So the third option, so just to review a little bit, we got sort of a normal scenario. Let's call it live school. We've got a split shift potential. We've got virtual school. Now, theoretically, everybody's a little more accustomed to virtual school by now. Okay, so we have got virtual school veterans. Got people who had to do it starting in March, made it up till June, maybe did some stuff over the summer as well, and now they are maybe going to go back and do virtual school in the fall. There may be hybrid situations, a combination of live school with virtual school. I've heard some ideas thrown out there that maybe some of the core classes, math, history, English, science, would be taught in school, and some of the other ones, not that they're less important, but less time demanding, might be virtual, or there might be a half and a half, like this split shift. So there's a lot of ways school might look a lot different in the fall than it does now. Another thing that's really being impacted are summer camps. Summer camps getting crushed. If some of them just can't happen. So anyway, they're closing, and that's it for a lot of parents. De facto daycare in the summer. They're working because everybody wants to reopen, right? Everybody wants to get back to work. Everybody needs to get the economics moving, the money coming in. Totally understand that. But what are you going to do with your kids in the summer? If you got a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old and you're planning to send them to a day camp or an overnight camp, the overnight camp can't operate for health concerns, creates a challenge. So we got challenges with schools, big issues with big debates with graduations. And again, I'm a little bit all over here. I understand that. But because these are the issues that are coming up, these are the things parents are talking to me about. These are their concerns. My kid's going to graduate. We were hoping for this big event. It's a celebration of a huge accomplishment, and it is. And, they have a drive-through graduation. They're talking about doing graduations to drive-in movie theaters, talking about doing virtual graduations. I'm not here to try to answer these questions. I'm just presenting what a circumstance that this has all become in such a short amount of time. And I don't know, maybe we can, but I'm not sure if at some point we can just flip a switch and go back to how it was, carte blanche. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know if it's smart. I don't know if it's healthy. I guess eventually this will settle down. Whether that can happen by September or August, depending on your district, goes back, is another question. So let me shift gears a little bit. It's another really interesting article in also the New York Times, a mega trend sort of thing about where is education going, period. And is the kind of old style, and I'm talking about Abraham Lincoln days, and there was one schoolhouse, but it was this model of going to school and then going home. Is it really sustainable at this point? Because there are so many options, and the technology to do live education is so good. Used to be not so good, but now we've proven, not in a perfect situation, but virtual learning can happen. Okay, can happen pretty well if it's done properly and the right resources are there, and between a combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning. So is a new paradigm potentially a hybrid of live and virtual. Now, this is not new ground, especially in graduate schools and in a lot of colleges. A lot of graduate schools have online degrees. I had a friend got an online MBA. Took like 18 months, did a lot of it online. Once a month, he'd go to the university for a day, Saturday for like 5 or 6 hours. They call that the residence program. 18 months, he got an MBA. They call it the executive MBA. This is not new news in the graduate school world. I think where the impact might be more new and maybe a lot more pronounced because of volume is at the college university level and potentially at the high school and secondary and elementary levels. So is the college campus, the traditional college campus, where 18, 20-year-old kids go and learn and have all the other things that go on there. And I've had a few really long discussions with parents about this. And then weigh in the other things. So you send your kid off to college, and I've got a kid in college now, so I get it. Obviously you want them to learn, but you also want them to make friends. You want them to network. You want them to make connections. You want them to be exposed to different ideas. You want them to mature. You want them to grow up, right? So, and is all that worth $65,000 a year or whatever, a private school's worth anymore? And even the state schools aren't so inexpensive. So I think what's happened here in this article, and I did a big opinion on it in all my social media, but I think what's happening here is a realignment potentially. But it isn't happening because the virus. It was already happening to a slow degree. What may be happening, though, is that the virus is going to accelerate this. Okay. And it's going to just force a lot of these decisions and a lot of these protocols to be put into place. Maybe they would have happened naturally or organically over 12, 15 years. I don't know, 10, throwing numbers out arbitrarily. Maybe this is going to accelerate into more like a 1 or 2 year window. So, because in a way, a lot of kids I work with, I start with students in 4th, 5th grade, but really their big goal is to get the grades they need, get the test scores they need, the SATs, ATTs, get everything in place so they can have the leverage, go to the college that they want to go to. That's most kids' goals, right? Yeah. So is that changing? Is this going to change the whole landscape? And again, this is a lot of theory here. I'm not really trying to answer every single question. What I'm trying to do is encapsulate this in a way that has been presented to me. So I'm trying to do my research. I'm trying to keep up on what's current, trying to keep this non-political because that's certainly going to be a part of this at some point. But this is things that big pictures are starting to get asked a lot that really weren't, at least, and I keep up with this stuff, being asked in the past. So the question is, how do you navigate this? Let's shift into this, which would be the last piece of today's discussion. How do you navigate? I'm going to get back to the structure. I've advocated and I've done a lot to support people with this, creating structure. And this is not exclusive to this period of time. You always should have a structure in your home study. Child goes to school, it doesn't matter if they're 7, 12, 19. When they come home, they need a good structure to work in. Again, 5 components of the structure: physical, time or temporal, academic, and support, and curriculum. Okay? They all got to be in place. They got to work together. Again, I don't want to repeat everything because I've talked about this so many times. So let's just get to support and close this out. I am offering all kinds of levels of support within my business, some of them one-on-one, some group, some en masse. The most available one is a 24/7 online community, Make the Great Success community. Go to the website, which links under here. You'll see a link that'll take you right to it. This is 24/7 support. You have a question, you ask it. You need help, you try to get it. Okay? I also am offering a virtual home learning plan. Family completes a short questionnaire. Based on the questionnaire, I create a protocol for them that basically puts everything you need, these 5 structural pillars together. Very simple, not necessarily easy to do, but it's very directed. And that's what a lot of families need. And then the last piece of support is I'm offering office hours. I'm going online live like this, letting people pop in, ask questions across a broad topic of subjects. Some are students of mine, some are not, and that's okay. So, and then finally, still have a lot of one-on-one tutoring students who I'm working with on an as-need basis. So let me check here. Kind of comments. Oh yeah, somebody commented on my hair. Yeah, it is getting long. I've got to cut in 3 months. What do you want me to tell you, Tony? But you're right. Yeah, look, I saw one of those meme things of before and after the shut-in. The first ones are all dressed up with a suit, beautiful hair. The last one, they look like came out of one of those cartoon explosions, and their hair is like this. But I got to tell you, for better or worse, probably going to get longer before it gets shorter, because I don't think they're opening anything around where I live in Pennsylvania for at least a couple weeks, hairstyle-wise. I'm not cutting it myself. Sorry. Any barbers out there, the hairstylists out there, let me know who are open. Let's see if there's any other questions. The easiest way to get a hold of me, that was the questions. If you look right underneath the screen here, there's my email address. Just send me an email. If you're watching this on Facebook, thank you. You can just direct message me, go to my personal page, or go to Make the Grade business page, or go to wherever else you can find me and just send me a message. But I like to get to the phone. Email's great, messaging is great, text messaging is great. They're all convenient, but I find you really you understand what people need, and you can really help people on the phone or on a Zoom, or whatever. And that's really where the work gets done. And I don't mean work like tutoring. I mean just answering questions, really get to the heart of the matter. So let's see if there's any more questions. I got a parent is asking, assuming they're a parent. I have 2 children. One is really motivated and works on everything themselves. The other one I have to constantly chase after. It's very annoying. Any suggestion? Well, yeah, create the structure and stick to it. And understand you're going to have some arguments. Hey, this is what you're doing. From 9 to 10, you're working on this. Reach out privately, because I can help you with this. But this is kind of how it works. Everybody knows their own children. I'm not going to tell anybody how to parent. But I will tell you, the structure is no excuse for it. Or maybe no excuse isn't the right word. There's no substitute for it. Okay? So the 5 levels of structure I've already talked about multiple times. I would suggest putting that into place and enforcing it, sticking to it. Have it go the way it should. Let me do one last check for questions or comments. If you have one, I'm migrating to a new presentation software. It's called StreamYard. So if you want to comment and make it easy for me to see, so I can hopefully hopefully get to them and answer them live, which is one of my goals here. There's a link there that you have to click. So sorry if I'm kind of stumbling over that, because it's a little bit new for me as well. Anyway, we are at 17 minutes and 38 seconds here. My goal is to keep these 20 minutes or less. So let me do one quick scan for questions and comments. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Somebody was kind enough to appreciate my information and putting out there. I appreciate it. I try to spend the time I need to stay current on this stuff. Like I said, I got a lot of notes here. That's all just from this week, just since Monday. There's a lot of opinion, a lot of uncertainty. Here's the bottom line. In the long run, this is, again, I'm coming from my opinion here. In the long run, it's still about getting an education. It's still about core skills. It's still about being able to manage your time. Still be able to manage your information. Put all this together in an effective way. It's not always all about grades. Well, the grades are a barometer. It's really about being able to work to a point that helps you reach your potential, to maximize your education, and to have success on the level that you define it. That's my message. So, Steve Green, I hope you enjoyed this. I welcome any feedback or comments. Please check out the Success Community, which is linkable through my website. I think you're going to find this is very, very valuable, and it's there to help people. If you want to talk directly, let me know, and I'm going to sign off. So have a great day. It's beautiful out here in the Philadelphia area. Finally got a nice day. Let's try to take advantage of it. Get your schoolwork done. Create your structure. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help you. And so long.